Avengers Doomsday features Doctor Doom as the main villain, but he wasn't set up prior to the previous year. Steve Rogers returns as Captain America, but Sam only appeared as Captain America in 2 projects. Main characters throughout the saga like the Eternals, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, and even main characters like Spider-Man and Captain America appeared once and then not again for years, or in some cases, they never returned. And then in general, many projects either just weren't very good, some awful, and some wildly wasted potential. In this video, and in 2 follow-ups, I'll be going over what the saga would have looked like if all of these issues were all rectified, and Doctor Doom was planned as the big bad from the get-go. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and become a member in the Noble tier above for early access to videos, including the next part of this series, or the King tier for a special shout-out. Thanks to these members for the extra support. All of that out of the way, let's begin with Phase 4. I think it was a mistake to reveal the name of the saga from the get-go. They didn't reveal the name of the Infinity Saga until its final year. So, to add some sort of mystery and extra discussion, the name of the saga will not be revealed for a while. Phase 4, like in the real world, begins in 2021, which in the real world was an insane year with, I think, too much content. As a general rule, every year will include 6 projects. In Phase 4, that will always mean 3 movies and 3 Disney Plus projects, which could mean TV shows or special presentations. No year will have more than 1 special presentation. 2021 will begin very similarly to the real world with Wandavision, a 9-episode long Disney Plus miniseries airing between January and March that begins the Wandavision saga that will be told over multiple TV shows and movies, while also introducing director Matt Shakman to the MCU, who will become very important. I thought Wandavision was fantastic up until the finale, which let me down a bit, so I'd make one change, which is to the finale, which is to reveal that the commercials seen throughout the series were manifestations of Doctor Strange trying to connect to Wanda to get through to her. Strange's role in the finale has to do with the reveal that when Wanda lets the Hex go, it'll cause a power surge that can cause massive damage. Strange works with Wanda to contain the Hex, and because of this, Wanda can never really create a Hex in the same vein because that will happen again. Strange informs Wanda that when she created her kids, she created real souls which have now manifested outside the Hex, but he doesn't know where. Wanda leaves to find her children's souls. I think in the real world, the WandaVision saga has been a high point for the Multiverse Saga. It's just been told over the course of too many years. I'm gonna condense it into entirely being in Phase 4. Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been a movie, so instead, Captain America Brave New World releases in March and is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton with the script by Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow. Because it's a movie and not a TV show, it's a lot shorter, we're gonna have to cut out some storylines. I'm gonna cut out the Zemo storyline, Sharon as the power broker, and the Isaiah Bradley arc, but the last one will be delayed to the next movie. This will be a lot more tightly focused. Set just a few months after Avengers Endgame, Sam Wilson works with the US military alongside Sharon Carter and Joaquin Torres. After defeating Batroc the Leaper, Sam struggles with whether to accept the Captain America mantle, especially when the government instead chooses John Walker. Sam and Bucky team up with Walker and Battlestar to stop the Flag Smashers, a super soldier terrorist group seeking to restore the pre-blip world by opposing the newly established Global Repatriation Council. The heroes track down Wilfred Nagel, creator of the new super soldier serum. Though the serum is confiscated, Walker secretly takes one, hoping to become a true Captain America. During a fight with the Flag Smashers, Battlestar is killed, and Walker, spiraling, kills his attacker, but then also causes some civilian collateral damage, being directly responsible for the death of one innocent civilian. As a result, Walker is stripped of the shield. Sam begins training with the shield, while Valentina Allegra de Fontaine recruits Walker as the US agent. Bucky confronts the man whose son he killed as the Winter Soldier, and Sharon reveals she arranged Sam's new Captain America suit. The Flag Smashers launch an attack on the GRC, drawing Sam, Bucky, and US Agent into a final battle. When Karli Morgenthau overwhelms Sam, he reveals a contingency plan, taking the super soldier serum as a last resort. With his new strength, Sam defeats Karli. Karli and the Flag Smashers are also not sympathetic figures, or at least not to the same extent that they intended them to be in the TV show. After this, John Walker loses it and enters a fight with Cap, who defeats him as well. This final act is meant to emphasize the contrast between Sam and John. John wanted the serum but wasn't worthy of it, while Sam was worthy but only took it as a sacrifice, not a power grab. The movie ends with Sam fully embracing his role as Captain America and contacting James Rhodes to help form a new Avengers team. Loki Season 1 releases between June and July, was head written by Michael Waldron and directed by Kate Herron, 2 people who will be important to this saga. This series could be the exact same as the real world, as I do not have have any complaints. Kang the Conqueror is an important Avengers villain. Just because he won't be the big bad of the saga doesn't mean that he shouldn't be included at all. Loki season 1 did a fantastic job at setting him up as a villain and will keep that intact. He just won't be talked about as a big bad villain behind the scenes. The Mighty Thor releases in September. While still directed by Taika Waititi, this version deliberately pulls back from his usual tone, essentially reworking Thor Love and Thunder without Korg's narration or exaggerated humor. After the success of Ragnarok, Marvel would realistically keep Waititi attached. They would simply have the foresight this time to realize that Taika Waititi definitely cannot write this movie. You need someone else to keep him in check, and that will be the writers of Infinity War and Endgame, who absolutely nailed the character of Thor more than Taika ever did in Infinity War, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. The story takes a more serious approach. In this version, Gore the God Butcher is shown actively killing gods. Jane Foster's cancer is treated with genuine weight, and Thor is portrayed as more focused, intelligent, and emotionally grounded. Thor wears the black and gold armor throughout the film. Lady Sif has a bit of a larger role, and Korg is killed early on as a way to establish some real stakes. In addition, the climax is completely reworked. Gore attacks Omnipotent City, slaughtering numerous gods in his search for the doorway to eternity hidden there. Gore, Thor, and Jane eventually reach eternity, where Jane convinces Gore to abandon his plan, not through comedy, but by pointing to Thor as proof that gods can be selfless, as despite the fact that he's gone through so much pain and suffering in the last few years, Thor is still out there trying to help people. Gore uses his wish to resurrect his daughter Love before dying, while Jane ultimately succumbs to her cancer. Thor adopts Love, who is left with cosmic powers, and in general the story does end in the same place as the original, but with far stronger execution and a far more serious tone leading up to it. In the same vein, the end credit scene featuring Hercules will remain intact, as that will be followed up on earlier than it is in the real world. Hawkeye Season 1 releases between November and December and is the same as the original with a few small changes. Kingpin is portrayed more closely to how he's portrayed in Daredevil, more realistic and less cartoony. He's not the type of person who can survive an explosion to the face and then also being shot, so let's just not write him into these situations. Kingpin isn't defeated, but rather the man he hired is. The person that the Hawkeyes fight in the finale is William Cross, aka Crossfire. Then, as the show comes to an end, it becomes more clear that this series is a sort of farewell to Clint Barton, who retires from the superhero life for like the 4th time, but this time it will be for good. He passes the mantle of Hawkeye to Kate Bishop and gets a genuinely happy ending. This is also the introduction of Yelena Belova, making it a big surprise that Natasha has a sister at all, let alone that she was a Black Widow and is going after Hawkeye. Spider-Man No Way Home closes off 2021 in December as the multiverse is truly explored for the first time. You might have noticed that there was no What If series. I think the series really dropped the ball as a series in general, but also it, I think, took away from the naturally slow build-up to a larger and larger multiverse that the MCU absolutely should have done, jumping right into as large of a multiverse and as insane of other universes as it gets. Instead, this first year more so dips its toes in. There was the Quicksilver thing in Wandavision, which will be addressed later. There was the entirety of Loki, but Spider-Man No Way Home is the first true crossover with other franchises, and I think that works a lot better as a slow, natural build-up. People would have been more hyped when they eventually do get around to a larger multiverse. No Way Home is not a perfect movie, but it was beloved and made a lot of money, so I don't think any changes need to be made, so let's move on. Moving on to 2022, I think it was this year where the MCU fatigue really set in thanks to some not great back-to-back releases. Hopefully this version of 2022 sounds a lot better. I personally did like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but I could see the issues that people have with it, and I think it does speak to the general talk of just jumping right in to what they could have slowly built up to. So instead, we have Doctor Strange in the Nexus of Nightmares, releasing in May and following directly after Spider-Man No Way Home. This will be a more Doctor Strange focused story directed by Scott Derrickson, not Sam Raimi, and written by the original Doctor Strange writers. The movie will open with Strange attending Christine Palmer's wedding, still unable to let her go. It's revealed that Baron Mordo has been attempting to kill Strange repeatedly since the first movie. Mordo attacks at the wedding and nearly succeeds, but Strange is saved by a mysterious purple-dressed woman named Clea. Together they defeat Mordo, and Clea reveals she is the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension. With the Time Stone destroyed, Dormammu has begun planning his return, and his invasion is imminent. With no Infinity Stone left, Strange and Clea seek the Eye of Agamotto, a once powerful enough artifact to stop Dormammu until its contents were destroyed to use the shell to house the Time Stone. Wong places them under a spell spell that allows them to dreamwalk, inhabiting the bodies of multiversal counterparts through their dreams. However, dreamwalking attracts Nightmare, a super powerful fear lord who traps victims in his nightmare realm forever. Strange and Clea dreamwalk across multiple universes, evading and fending off Nightmare. In each reality, Strange and Clea are married, but the Eye does not exist. They finally reach Earth 612, a reality where the Time Stone never came to Earth. Here, Strange is married to Christine, and Clea is imprisoned as his enemy. However, from there, things manage to go according to plan. Strange binds the Eye of Agamotto to his soul, frees Clea, and the two escape back to Earth 19999 just as Dormammu attacks. Dormammu invades Earth, but for some reason, the Eye just isn't enough. Dormammu kills Wong and Clea, and then all the other sorcerers aside from Strange, and overtakes the planet with the Dark Dimension. Strange is captured, but kept alive as a trophy to witness his failures. The situation appears hopeless until the truth is revealed. Strange never fully escaped Earth 612. He hesitated, unable to let Christine go, and in that moment, Nightmare managed to claim him. This experience is not real, it's a nightmare. Before being taken, Strange and Christine talked enough that Christine understood that he was a different person and understood what she needs to do. As Earth 612 Strange regains his consciousness, Christine convinces him to free Clea from her prison. Clea manages to peer through the Nightmare realm enough to awaken Strange, and with this opportunity, and then powered by the Eye, Strange develops a new spell, Nightmare Walking, allowing him to inhabit Nightmare himself. Strange and Nightmare merge and return to Earth 1999. Using the Eye of Agamotto, they destroy Dormammu once and for all. Strange then returns the Eye to Earth 612, which releases Nightmare, who in a final battle is defeated by the combined efforts of Doctor Strange, Clea, and the rest of the sorcerers. Nightmare vows revenge and returns to his dimension, and Strange and Clea share a kiss, as they have now fallen in love. Because of this, Clea chooses to remain in this universe, even after revealing that she is Dormammu's niece. In a post-credit scene, we meet the Living Tribunal discussing growing multiverse instability with each other, referencing Wandavision and retconning Pietro's appearance as Agatha subconsciously drawing from another universe. The Tribunal concludes that the nexus of all realities, the gateway between universes, will soon require a living protector. Ms. Marvel releases between June and July and is reimagined as a tighter, more effective origin story, which is what it should have been. I do think that one of the bigger issues of a lot of these shows is that they wait till like the last episode for the hero to suit up at all. That will not be the case here. Ms. Marvel will suit up early on, and the rest will be a simple Spider-Man style high school adventure with more interesting villains. Essentially, Kamala Khan discovers a mysterious bangle that gives her superpowers. Excited but cautious, she tests her abilities and confides in her best friend Bruno. A devoted fan of Carol Danvers, Kamala adopts the name Miss Marvel and quickly becomes an active local superhero, wielding her light-based construct powers. Unbeknownst to her, activating the bangle also triggers a second, matching bangle belonging to another teenager named Joshua Richardson. Both bangles are revealed to be alien technology that fell to Earth decades ago, and separately came into the possession of two different families, the Khan family and the Richardson family. While Kamala gains light constructs, Joshua develops dark construct abilities, which he is able to use to influence people into becoming a lot more disagreeable and eventually entering into fights with each other, and because of this, he is named Discord. Their conflict escalates into a final confrontation where Kamala is forced to destroy her own bangle to stop Joshua, sacrificing her powers in the process. However, it's revealed that the bangle did not create her abilities, it merely unlocked them, as it's revealed that she is a mutant. Without the bangle, Kamala still has her powers. The destruction of the bangle attracts the attention of Captain Marvel, who reveals the artifact was Kree technology. Carol Danvers arrives, confirms Kamala's potential, and ultimately recruits her to the Avengers, revealing that she's a member, but also Miss Marvel will be one as well. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, releases in July and is reimagined as a sharper, better executed version of the real-world movie, written by Loki's Michael Waldron instead of Jeff Loveness, and directed by Sam Raimi rather than Peyton Reed, as I don't think Peyton Reed was up to this particular task. I vehemently dislike the recasting of Cassie Lang. I think Emma Fuhrmann was better in her one scene in Endgame compared to Katherine Newton in literally anything I've ever seen her in, and that's on top of the fact that it's an unnecessary recast. She was already cast. So even though that means that this video is slightly harder to make because I have to Photoshop many images of Emma Fuhrmann as Cassie Lang, I don't care, I'm keeping this casting. In this version, only Cassie is pulled into the quantum realm, but also it's not just the quantum realm, it's a pocket dimension dimension inside of the quantum realm to explain why it's so different from previous appearances. Cassie is pulled in, but Scott and Hope heroically follow to rescue her. However, they arrive months later due to time dilation. Meanwhile, Hank and Janet team up with Luis and his friends to aid in their rescue from outside. The quantum realm looks very visually cohesive, and MODOK, while still somewhat comical, has a bit of a better design and is written far better. In the city of Axia, Scott and Hope are separated. Hope reunites with Cassie and joins the Resistance, while Scott is captured and taken to Kang's headquarters, the Celestium. Kang coerces Scott into a heist to retrieve the multiversal engine core, threatening Cassie and dangling the possibility of restoring her pre-snap timeline as leverage, giving him back the 5 years he lost with his daughter. Scott completes the heist, but when he returns, he sees that there is a resistance uprising against Kang, and so decides to go against him. Here, the heroes regroup. Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Stature confront Kang, MODOK, and his army while protecting the core. MODOK betrays Kang, plugging the core into his own chair after he steals it from Scott. This, however, turns out to be Kang's backup plan. This kills MODOK and turns him into a portal into the outside world. Kang escapes through it, and the portal begins closing. Only Cassie manages to return to the outside world. Scott and Hope remain trapped in Axia. Stranded, Scott proposes to Hope and they get engaged in the quantum realm, accepting their fate of being there for potentially the rest of their lives. On the outside, Hank confirms that they tried to get them out, but failed. They don't know how. Cassie dedicates herself to rescuing her parents, adopting a new Ant-Man style suit, and instead of being called Stature, she's called Ant-Girl. In the end credit scene, the Council of Kings learn of the Conqueror's escape. Reacting with genuine fear, they begin plans to stop him. Agatha All Along releases between October and November and can be just about the exact same as the original, just released 2 years earlier, far closer to the release of Wandavision to feel a lot more relevant, while also including a cameo of the Scarlet Witch, but not something that would change the show too drastically. Essentially, Wiccan debuts, Agatha becomes a ghost, and the two then go on their own quest to find Wiccan's brother, maybe Vision, and maybe the Scarlet Witch. Speaking of releasing earlier, November would see the release of the Fantastic Four First Steps, one of the biggest changes to the saga and a driving force behind a lot of the decisions behind the saga is that, considering Dr. Doom will be the big bad, I thought it'd be appropriate for his arch enemies to be given a larger presence, a complete Fantastic Four trilogy. First Steps could be the exact same as the real-world movie, the first movie entirely set in another universe, starring the same actors, characters, and designs, same director and writer, just released 3 years earlier. The only change is the end credit scene, which would be replaced by one where we see the silhouette of a large caped man watching the news about the Fantastic Four from inside a middle-aged looking room. Zooming out, while we don't see this man outside of his silhouette, we reveal a castle, and then zooming out more, we see the flag of Latveria with text appearing on screen, confirming that's exactly where we are. Closing off 2022 is the first of many special presentations, Guardians of the Galaxy The Holiday Special. Written and directed by James Gunn, there's nothing I'd really change. In fact, I'd change nothing about how the Guardians were treated in these first few years at all. They still appeared in Thor, they have the Holiday Special, and then Volume 3. The only change, I guess, is I Am Groot. Like, they could still make it, but it just wouldn't be canon to the MCU, with the same going for X-Men 97. I won't mention it again in these videos, but they could still make things like that, they're just not considered MCU content. 2023 begins with Black Panther Wakanda Forever in February, avoiding what I believe to have been a big mistake, killing off T'Challa. The movie would begin with a Chadwick Boseman tribute before introducing us to his replacement, John David Washington, taking over the mantle. This movie will be based on the original script that was written before Chadwick's passing, focusing on T'Challa taking his now 8-year-old son on the Ritual of 8, where father and son spend 8 days in nature, during which the son can ask any questions, and the father has to answer all of them. During these 8 days, T'Challa and his son Azari must be joined at the hip so as to not break the ritual, but unfortunately it's during these 8 days that Namor launches his attack. Ramonda's death, T'Challa's relationship with his son, and who is now revealed to be his wife Nakia, would be the emotional cruxes of the movie. After Ramonda's death, Nakia is formally recognized as the Queen of Wakanda. Meanwhile, Shuri does create a new moniker for herself known as Aja Adana and fashions herself a new Black Panther-esque suit. The movie ends similarly to the real-world movie, with Wakanda and Talokan striking an alliance. Ironheart is completely cut out, and an end credit scene shows T'Challa being met by Sam Wilson to be recruited to the Avengers. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 releases in May and remains unchanged. The movie acts as the departure of James Gunn from Marvel as he moves over to DC, while also being the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The structure of the saga fits a lot better this way. The Guardians appear once per year in a 3-year period that makes up the entirety of Phase 4, small role, special, and full-on movie, instead of what it was in the real world, which is just awkwardly being one of the first movies in Phase 5. I think this works a lot better. The Guardians saga is brought to an end at the perfect point, and with a possibility for this new lineup and Star-Lord on Earth to return, which they will after a bit of a break. VisionQuest releases between June and August and is the third and final part of the 3-part Wandavision saga, condensed from what it is in the real world, which is 6 years and 3 phases with Scarlet Witch dying in the middle, to what it is here, 3 years, 1 phase, and with the finale to all of this being in the end of phase Avengers movie coming in a few months. This series is head written by Terry Matalas and directed by the same people who will direct it in the real world. In VisionQuest, we follow White Vision as he tries to find his own identity. Vision goes on a quest through both Earth and the cyberspace, meeting and or facing off against all of his fellow Stark AIs, all of whom are turned into robots and also at times humans as well. Eventually, Vision's quest leads him to meeting Tommy Shepard, the reincarnation of the son of his Chaos Magic memory counterpart, who now has the same powers as he did in the Hex, super speed. Being the only speedster in this world as of right now, Tommy takes up the name of his uncle, Quicksilver, because it's available and speed is just not a very good name. Through what is, I guess, his son, Vision learns to regain his humanity and in doing so, fails to prevent Ultron's return into a new body. A couple episodes in, we're reintroduced to Wiccan and Agatha as they try to track down Tommy, but for some reason fail. Instead, they set their sights on the Scarlet Witch, and as the story climaxes, the entire WandaVision family, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Wiccan, Quicksilver, and Agatha Harkness all come together for the very first time to fight Ultron, and they destroy him once and for all. With the WandaVision family now together, Agatha's role as a spirit guide to Wiccan has ended. Her ghostly form dissipates and she descends into the afterlife. As the series comes to an end, the family is approached by a man in an Iron Man suit, or rather a teenager in an Iron Lad suit. Revealing himself to be the Nathaniel Richards of a different timeline, he recruits the entire family to help fight a variant of his, Kang the Conqueror. The second special presentation, this time being a Halloween special, is Man-Thing, directed by Michael Giacchino and written by Heather Quinn and Peter Cameron. Man-Thing was set up by Doctor Strange 2 and takes place immediately after it. We meet recently divorced scientist Ted Sallis, who injects himself with the SO2 serum to cure himself of a disease of his. He also created this serum. Going for a drive in his newly cured body, the serum begins to cause some bad side effects, causing him to crash into a swamp. The mystical swamp turns him into the Man-Thing, and after taking control of his new form, Man-Thing is installed as the guardian of the Nexus of all realities, a gateway between universes. The Living Tribunal explains to Man-Thing that it and the multiverse are in imminent danger, and thus he's needed. That imminent danger comes in the next 2 projects. Created in tandem with each other, Loki Season 2 releases between October and November and is the exact same as the original. Same writers and directors, same story, and the same outcome. Loki Season 2 will, however, be immediately followed up on with the conclusion to Phase 4. Releasing in December 2023, Phase 4 comes to an end with Avengers the Kang Dynasty, not meant to be the saga's big Infinity War conclusion, but rather the saga's The Avengers, which brings together the first phase and then sets up the rest. Written by Michael Waldron and directed by Kate Herron, who directed Loki Season 1, masterfully, I might add, the Kang Dynasty brings most of the phase together. I say most because, unlike Phase 1, this phase is far too large to bring everyone together. The Guardians, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man are not involved. The Guardians story has ended, the Fantastic Four will take a bit longer to cross over, and Spider-Man unfortunately has been demoted to the street level for now. Well, unfortunately for his appearances, not unfortunately for the story. He, because of this, won't be appearing as much as he should, because he's street level, so he can only appear in street level projects. However, the street level projects are mostly TV shows, and he can't really appear in TV shows, which is why he only had 1 appearance in Phase 4. However, he will have more appearances in Phases 5 and 6. Sam Wilson reveals to the world his new Avengers lineup: Captain America, White Wolf, Professor Hulk, Thor, War Machine, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Photon, and Miss Marvel. The Avengers reveal themselves to the world as they arrive at the new Avengers HQ, Avengers Mansion. They find a man who introduces himself as Nathaniel Richards. Meanwhile, another Nathaniel Richards, Iron Lad, puts together his own separate team, which the marketing refers to as the Secret Avengers. In the movie, they're never given a name, but that's what I'll be calling them. This team includes Scarlet Witch, White Vision, Wandavision, Wiccan, Quicksilver, Doctor Strange, Clea, Wong, and Ant-Girl. Nate, as he prefers to be called, explains that he is a younger Kang variant and that Kang is now recruiting the Avengers for a mission to cross the Nexus of all realities to then find and dismantle the Council of Kangs. Nate explains that they need to let this happen for the sake of the multiverse, but that they need to be there as a surprise to stop Kang, as he knows that he plans on betraying the Avengers. Wiccan then reads Nate's mind and sees that he's completely telling the truth. Nate's explanation is edited together with Kang's, as he also explains everything to the Avengers, that he is a scientist from the 31st century whose variants from across the multiverse have formed the Council of Kangs, a group dedicated to conquering the multiverse. Kang explains that he rebelled against the Council and was punished for it. Kang has come to the 21st century to recruit the Avengers to help him take down the Council once and for all. Kang is telling the truth, and Sam also believes him. The Council of Kangs are revealed to be headquartered in another dimension at the end of time. The Council discusses the coming of Kang the Conqueror and prepares for his arrival. Sam decides to address the world, telling them that something came up. The Avengers are headed off on a mission in another dimension to help save the world, but that they will return. Kang uses the time machine from Endgame, which he reconfigures into a gate into the Nexus of all realities, which most of the Avengers walk through. A few of them stay behind to hold down the fort. Just as he steps through into the Nexus, Thor begins receiving vague visions from another dimension, Valhalla. Heimdall tells Thor to look beyond the end of time. Meanwhile, Nate coaches Wanda, showing her how to open a portal to the Nexus of all realities, and they begin following behind. Kang and the Avengers come across the Guardian of the Nexus of all realities, the Man-Thing, who reaffirms the Avengers' decision, allowing them to pass. The Avengers then encounter many other obstacles along the way, magical and cosmic alike, before finally arriving at the end of time, where they are greeted by Miss Minutes. Meanwhile, the Secret Avengers come across Man-Thing as well, and this time Man-Thing does not let them pass, saying that them passing would endanger the multiverse. The Secret Avengers fight Man-Thing, and while he puts up a very good fight, they manage to get past him. Miss Minutes escorts them to the Citadel, where they are welcomed by Immortus, and discussion ensues. Discussion turns to argument, and argument turns to battle. Kang and the Avengers battle Immortus and the rest of the Council. They're outnumbered but hold their own. However, Kang realizes that Ramatut, Centurion, and Mr. Griffin are all missing. In the present day, after the Avengers leave, Centurion arrives and attacks the remaining Avengers. Ramatut, meanwhile, arrives in the Quantum Realm to attack Ant-Man and the Wasp, revealed to have been there for a few years, and with a Quantum Realm-born baby. Ramatut attacks them right before they were just about to find a way to escape the Quantum Realm. Mr. Griffin attacks the Secret Avengers at the Nexus of all realities. 4 different fights commence in different dimensions at different points in time, but cut between each one, and in each one, the Kangs are all winning. The tide turns when the Secret Avengers are able to defeat their Kang, Mr. Griffin, and then make it to the end of time. Ant-Man and the Wasp manage to use Ramatut's tech to transport the 4 of them to the outside world. Joining the Avengers, the team fight the 2 Kangs together. This turns out to be advantageous, as while each one individually is easily able to overpower the group that they are sent to fight, they do not work well together. At the end of time, the Secret Avengers sense that the Avengers are going to lose, and so make the call to forgo their initial plan of being the last-minute secret defense against Kang's betrayal. The Avengers simply need them now. The Secret Avengers join the fight, and they help defeat the Council once and for all. Nate quickly warns the Avengers of Kang's imminent betrayal, but Kang's final plan begins. Kang thanks his younger self for bringing everyone here. Iron Lad is confused. He thought he was fighting against Kang, but it turns out Kang actually created him and sent him on this mission without his knowledge. With the Avengers and Secret Avengers at the end of time, Kang reveals that this was his plan all along. Kang takes control of Miss Minutes and then vanishes. We follow Kang as he makes his way to the Void, another dimension at the end of time, and he saves his long-lost love Ravonna Renslayer before she's killed by Alioth. Kang uses his tech to take control of Alioth and transports him to the dimension that the Avengers are in, while he makes his way to the present day to conquer it. He claims that he thought that the 21st century, without the Avengers, is the perfect time to conquer Earth, and then lay the groundwork for a dynasty that could last millions of years. The present day Avengers keep on holding their own against Ramatut and Immortus, but then Kang the Conqueror and Ravonna arrive. Ravonna in a new suit. They kill the other Kangs and attack the Avengers. The Avengers are completely outmatched, and it seems hope is lost. At the end of time, the more powerful Avengers hold back Goliath. Scarlet Witch cannot let go for a second to open a portal into the Nexus of all realities, or Goliath will eat them. However, Thor's visions finally manifest. Thor hallucinates into another dimension at the end of time, where he non-vividly meets his brother, Loki, who tells him he'll explain everything eventually. They'll meet again, but for now, Thor allows Loki to enhance him with his power. Stormbreaker begins glowing green with the energies of the multiverse flowing through it, and Thor shoots green lightning at Goliath, destroying him for good. Even with Goliath defeated, Iron Lad explains that he knew the exact coordinates in time travel in order to get to the end of time. He's not sure how to get back from here. In the present, the Asgardians show up to help fight Kang, but even then, Kang has a major upper hand. Having recently defeated him, Kang underestimates Ant-Man, who manages to trick Kang into a position where he can take a small piece of his tech, which he studied extensively while in the quantum realm, to send a signal to the other Avengers. Iron Lad is able to piggyback off this signal, and he finds a way back. Scarlet Witch, after having pushed herself almost to her limit to fend off Goliath, pushes herself to her actual limit, opening up another doorway back to the Nexus of all realities. Wanda holds it long enough for everyone to go through, but the strain proves too much. Wanda collapses onto the ground, and Vision returns through the portal to be with his love. The two tell their kids to live as the portal closes. As Wanda loses her life, Vision decides to shut down, not wanting to live without her. Back in the present, an angry Kang stabs Scott in the belly. As Scott falls to the ground, the Avengers come through and assemble. This is not something that Kang prepared for. He did not think the Avengers had even a small chance of surviving, and now he's outnumbered. He holds his own, but not forever. He starts boasting about how he's going to conquer Earth, the universe, and the multiverse, establishing a dynasty that expands all of existence. But as he's prattling on, a few of the Avengers each manage to land a finishing blow, killing him. Kang's death allows the TVA to show up as he was blocking them. They arrest Ravonna, but they also go to arrest Iron Lad, who surrenders willingly, agreeing that his presence in the present day in this timeline will only serve to endanger the timeline. However, it's hinted that they're actually about to recruit him, not to put him on trial. Scott is critically injured, but he survives. However, he's pretty old now, he's injured, and he just wants to retire with hope to raise their son. The Secret Avengers and the Avengers form together into one team, with the Sorcerers agreeing to being part-time members, and the movie ends with the Living Tribunal meeting Loki as they begin talking about how the dangers to the multiverse have only just begun. An end credit scene shows Carol Danvers flying through space, meeting Photon and Miss Marvel on the Sword HQ, and then looking into space, seeing a crack forming in the fabric of space-time. Another end credit scene shows the Living Tribunal again as he returns to the Nexus of all realities and meets Man-Thing, telling him that he served his purpose for now. He can return to Earth, but also he needs to find someone, a man named Jack Russell. And so there you have it. This is Phase 4, featuring the endings of the stories of characters like Hawkeye, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Scarlet Witch and Vision, reassembling the Avengers, laying the groundwork for the multiverse, introducing the Fantastic Four, Miss Marvel, Wiccan, the new Quicksilver, and Man-Thing, all while telling the complete Kang story and what is hopefully 18 good individual stories on their own. I tried to make it so that no one had too big of a gap between appearances, but like I already mentioned, it wasn't really possible with Spider-Man. But it's not like the Infinity Saga was perfect. The Hulk appeared in 2008 and then not again until 2012 with a new actor, so I guess this could be considered the equivalent to that. Let me know how you think the rest of the saga will go. I have most of it already planned out, and thanks so much for watching.